next speaker, I will be swapping because we had 30 minutes delay on the start, so we need to catch up with that delay. We are in time, almost. The point now will be to have Olivier Ezrati to introduce himself and to deal with what is at stake today with artificial intelligence. I'm very sorry to take you through all my slides. So, a quick introduction to Olivier. We've been bouncing to each other for maybe last 10 years on the digital environment and the CES. He is a tremendous expert. He produces every year an outstanding survey for all the startups engaged in the French tech coming to the CES. And I'm delighted to introduce you. To the floor is yours now.
Hi, good afternoon. So my goal today is to introduce you about what's going to show up with AI at the CES. And by the way, what is AI? Probably there are as many definitions of AI as an AI specialist or people talking or writing about it. At the CES particularly, you're going to see AI about everywhere. I've looked at all the press releases, all the announcements from large companies, startups from across the world or in many different businesses. And most of companies are using AI somewhere in their marketing. You're going to have various different levels of depth of using AI with all these companies. But whatever the company is going to say about AI, they're going to use some bits of AI. And I will explain to you what kind of pieces of AI those companies may be using and what is the value they can bring to the market and for users. Basically, AI is about everywhere, from home to your office, in your car, in your smartphone, in the city. You're going to have smart grids, smart energy, smart whatever, in every place imaginable. Today, AI is basically a set of techniques, mostly software techniques that can be used in many, many dimensions. And I will show you where it can be used. The first level is something that was very popular in the 80s called expert systems or rules engines. It's basically a technique with AI which is managing reasoning. So how can you make some reasoning based on rules which you define on your own, which can describe the way a business is being run, which may define the way you allocate some credit in a bank, the way you decide to select a customer with your marketing, and so on. Then you have so-called machine learning, which is a huge set of mathematical techniques, which are mainly used at the beginning with analyzing structured data. And structured data can be a customer database, it can be an internet log from your website, it can be anything coming out of Internet of Things, and all those big chunks of data can be analyzed to make mainly two things. One is making predictions. The biggest example is predict customer behavior. So if you have a big set of data and you're Canal Plus or you are a telecom company and you want to know which are the specific criteria with your customers which can help you predict the churn and detect those customers which could leave you and for which you could make some specific offerings, some specific marketing or outbound marketing. This is an example of using predictions. The second thing is how can you segment your market or how you can segment your base, your data. And this is where machine learning is being used. On top of that, there is a subset of machine learning which was invented about 20 years ago, which is called neural networks. It's using a way to mimic the way the brain is working with software neurons. And it's mainly used with so-called deep learning. And deep learning so far, even though it can be used in many, many different areas, is mainly used for image management, image recognition, and language. But language can be many things. It can be chatbots, it can be translation, it can be a lot of different activities. On top of that, there is a big thing that nobody talks about with AI, which is called agents and agent networks. Those are the techniques that are used by software developers and AI integrators to integrate all those techniques to make a solution, to produce a solution. So the kind of solution you can produce is an autonomous car, it can be a washing machine, it can be a chatbot, it can be a robot. All those end-user products require the assembly of many different tactics and the orchestration of all of this. And these are agents networks, and there are people specialized in those dimensions. You have a lot of different techniques. It's very deep, what I explain here, but that's being used everywhere. And when you can learn about all these techniques, you can understand and go beyond the so-called AI washing. So you can understand what's behind the products you're going to see when you visit the CES. For example, you have so-called convolutional network. It was invented by Yann Lequin, a French researcher who works now with Facebook. This technique is being used to detect an object in images. And that's used in a car by NVIDIA processor to detect somebody on a bicycle, another car, another pedestrian. This is using a technique that was invented back in 1988. That's called convolutional network. You have other techniques which are really recent. It started about 2 years ago. It's called generative networks. Those are the networks which can create content based on other content. And I will show you a couple examples. Now let's look at all the various applications. And there are so many applications with AI which is unbelievable. Just on vision. Just on vision, you have obviously face recognition for security. You have detection of activities. It's being used in smart cities to detect whatever concentration of people in the street, security threats, whatever the reasoning. You can have a lot of applications in digital imaging for medical imaging. You have a couple companies exhibiting at the CES which are showcasing the way to use AI to detect specific illnesses. You have autonomous cars. You have all the field of e-commerce that's been using image recognition, looking at image database to detect a product that looks like another product. And you have also, particularly in new smartphone solution, techniques that are used to improve pictures or to select the right picture you take out of many pictures. So you have a lot of very interesting solutions which are both being used in businesses or with the consumer solutions. What you're going to see this year with many exhibitors is so-called emotional AI. Emotional AI is about two things. One is about detecting the emotions of users. How do you detect emotions? You detect emotions with looking at the face, listening to the voice, and with neural networks, you can detect various emotions. You can detect nervousness, you can detect fear, you can detect mostly negative emotions. And if you can detect these emotions, you can react to this. And then you have the second stage of emotional AI, which is how a solution, like a chatbot, or like a solution based on voice recognition, like Siri or Google Assistant, which is everywhere in Las Vegas. You've seen that probably. It can base its response to user based on the emotion it detects with users. You have another example which I like. It's a French company called Datacalab. What they do is they are detecting the emotions of people in a room, not just one person. Let's say we have a camera here. They will get a picture of all of you, and they will be able to detect if somebody is getting bored, if somebody is having fun, and maybe showing me some data on how I'm doing in my presentation. And surprisingly, you already have emotional AI conferences in AI. So it's interesting to see how social science is being merged with AI currently with the companies doing business there. Language is about the same. With handling languages, you have a lot of different solutions you can see here at the CES. Of course, you're going to have all the Amazon Alexa, Google Assistant, and Siri lookalikes, or these technologies being used in other products. This morning, LG announced a new washing machine that can be driven with, I think, Google Assistant. You can have a lot of different techniques from the big GAFA used with existing products from large Chinese or Asian companies or small startups from Europe. You can have also a lot of different solutions for translation. You have the Travis translation agent, which is a small device that you can see at the CES. You also have a lot of business-to-business solutions for automatic summarizing a text. It's being used by journalists. You have already news agencies which are producing automatic news, text news, typically in the finance business or in the sports business. These are the kinds of products you can see at the CES. So the Travis translator is an amazing one. It could be done with a smartphone, by the way, but it's a special dedicated device to translate one language into another. Then sometimes you have very strange solutions. This one comes from a company from North America called Lyrebird. Lyrebird is able to generate a voice based on some text, arbitrary text, and a given voice that has been recorded. So in this video, I can't show you because it's not on my PC here, but this video, you can get it on the web. You go on YouTube and you find it. You type Obama and Lyrebird. You're going to see a video of Obama talking about Lyrebird. You see his face moving. You hear his voice. But it's not Barack Obama. It's a generative network that is creating the video. So the future of fake news is going to be interesting. And you're going to have to create new solutions to fact-check videos, because some of the videos you're going to see on the web, particularly on social networks, are going to be fake videos. So this is an interesting development. Another phenomenon that you can observe and then try to analyze when visiting the CES is all those technologies which help you connect with connected objects. So until now, you had remotes like the 7Hugs remote or the SOWI remote from a subsidiary from Électricité de France, EDF. You had a lot of single-button products which appeared about 2 years ago, like the Amazon Dash. You push on a button and it connects to the Amazon.com and it orders whatever product you want. And you have now a new kind of solution based on voice recognition. So whether it's Amazon Echo or all the copycats from Amazon Echo, you're going to have those from LG, Lenovo, whoever, and Google Home. And those products can help you drive anything. So in the future, the big question I have is, are we going to have all these three kinds of products to connect with the tools you have in your home, or will you have only voice? I believe that we can have dedicated devices based on what you need and what you want to do. If it's faster to push a button to get your light, you may not use voice or you may not use a complicated remote. For some dimensions or for some products, you may use a remote. And for some very simple tasks, you're going to use a button. So when you go in the science level 2, and you look at all the smartphones product, try to understand which kind of remote is going to be used for which kind of activity. The new trend that is showing up this year, I think it started last year, but it's going to be very strong this year, are the systems which get rid of so-called orchestration solutions. Until now, when you wanted to automatize some activities in your home, let's say you get out of your home and you want to change the heat, close the door, close all openings, and turn on video security, you had to program it on your own, or somebody had to program it with some code. Or you were using solutions like IFT, which is coming from a startup from the Silicon Valley. This year, you're going to see solutions like WinAI, it's a French startup, or Morpheus Momo, or Dosun, which comes from Asia. Those are solutions which are going to understand what you do on a usual basis, and they will do the programming on their own, based on AI. So it's going to be a way to automate, to make it automatic to program your system. It's going to be a self-learning system. So this is another option that's going to be available, and it's going to be very interesting to look at all those companies doing this and to see if it's possible to do it, because you have to learn on the fly. You have to see if those scenarios really work and if those systems are really able to learn on what users are doing. Then you're going to see, obviously, many AI in cars. Let's look at a couple companies. Tesla, of course, even though they don't have any booth here at the CES. Let's look at just French companies. You have Valeo, who's behind a feature called Park4You. It's been in the marketplace for at least 3 years in a row, I think now. And Park4You is the automatic park system for cars. You may not have it in your Renault or in your Peugeot if you're French, but you can find it in BMW, in some luxury cars from Germany, and this is coming from Valeo. Then you have Navia, a company coming out of Lyon, and this company has a kind of minibus, and this week they are showing for the first time their cab, automatic cab for 6 persons, and it's going to be demonstrated, I think, around Fremont Street in the north of Las Vegas, on top of other demonstrations with Lyft and other technologies. So you will have a lot of companies showing autonomous cars. The big question everybody has is, when is it going to be mainstream? When will you have your own autonomous car? There is no binary answer. The right answer is to say that you will have autonomous car or autonomous whatever showing up progressively in different places. First, you're going to see autonomous cars being used in highways. Let's say you want to go from Las Vegas to LA. You're going to have probably 3 or 4 hours of drive. Most of the drive is in empty roads. So this is very easy for an autonomous car. Then you get on the street and it's becoming more complicated. Maybe you want to take back the control of your car. So autonomous driving is going to be a mixed picture for some time. That's what you have to understand. And probably in the near future, I don't know if it's going to be 15 years or 10 years, you're going to have more autonomous cars than regularly used cars. And the mix is going to be different depending on the place where you want to drive. Then a last thing I want to describe to you, which is very important at CES this year, is all that is related to hardware. So it's not about usage, it's hardware. Behind AI, you have hardware and you have telecoms. And there is a big battle going on right now between the big players. The big players are AMD, Intel, and NVIDIA. I was yesterday at a press event from NVIDIA at the MGM. NVIDIA is one of the most important companies right now with regards to hardware and AI. And they have this chipset that I found very interesting. It's called the Volta chipset. They have different numbers for the product, so the GV100 or V100. This is a chipset that initially was designed as a GPU for video processing, for gaming processing. But they have a specific thing that you have to understand, which is called, they call it tensor cores. You see that also with other companies. What is a tensor core? A tensor core, I see 15 minutes here. Is it wrong? Okay. A tensor core is a very simple thing in the processor that's multiplying matrices. You have to understand that everything that boils down to image recognition with deep learning or language understanding is based on very simple mathematical objects, which is multiplying matrices. And so what those processors are doing is they are putting matrix multiplier directly in the chipset so that it's faster for training the system and for running the system. And you start to have this feature not only in the very powerful chipset from NVIDIA, which sits on servers most of the time, but you see that showing up also in mobile devices. And there are 2 recent examples which are very important to know. One is the last processor from the Apple iPhone X and 8, and you have the Kirin 970 from HiSilicon, who is the fabless silicon company from Huawei. And this shows up in the recent smartphones from Huawei, and you can see that at the CES. So those are very powerful chipsets in smartphones, which enable picture recognition, video improvement, voice recognition deep into the smartphone, and it makes it very powerful. And you see many, many companies doing those kind of chipsets, both on the server side and on the embedded side of things. So you will see more companies creating specific chipsets for AI, for IoT, for mobility. And this is something you have to look at if you want to understand the dynamics of this market. To end, where are you going to see AI at the CES? So I have a very simple guide for you. It shows up here. If you want to see the best companies with AI, based on what I explained to you, you have to go first at Eureka Park because you have about, 900 companies there. And most of these companies have some piece of AI in their products. Then you go in the second floor and you look at all the smart home solutions and all the IoT solutions. Many of them are using AI based on the techniques I described. Then you go on LVCC. You're going to have an AI and robotics area in the South Hall. You're going to have all the automotive thing with BMW, Valeo, Navia, Byton, which is a German, Chinese, American venture, and they have a very interesting car using a lot of AI. Then you're going to have the mobile companies like Huawei, you're going to have LG, Samsung, NVIDIA. So all these companies are very interesting, but you probably will see AI in most of the booths with new technologies. Thank you.
I really want to thank Olivier, because he is one of the best to manage this bridge between usage, software, and hardware. He truly understands the bridges between the three. Thank you for your demo today. It was fantastic. I hope to see you during the course of the week. I hope you will come back. And another round of applause to Olivier, please. Thank you.